All right, so yesterday we talked about what Carolina bays are and where we find them. Keep in mind that this is a series, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just back up a couple videos and get caught up. But today we're talking about some of the previously hypothesized explanation for the Carolina bays. Now, it's been less than 100 years since we've even started to investigate these things. You know, the Native Americans were using them all the time. I think I mentioned that the Native American term is Pocosin, and so they were using these elliptical swamps for resources for a long time, so they knew all about them. But it wasn't until the 1930s they were doing aerial surveys to kind of help out the farmers trying to get through the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl and all that. And they were doing aerial photography, and they saw all these elliptical shapes all over the terrain. Now, this got a few people excited. They published it in a local newspaper, I believe it was, or a magazine, the Harper's Ferry, and that, you know, everyone saw these things, and the first go-to explanation was these things must be meteor holes. And that kind of got everybody excited, and they all started going out searching for meteors in these elliptical swamps. But lo and behold, they didn't find any. And so a cosmic event kind of got put on the back burner, and they started looking more towards terrestrial explanations for the creation of these Carolina bays. Now, keep in mind, they didn't have information ahead of this. So, you know, when it comes to the scientific method and you know, you go and do research before forming a hypothesis, there was nothing to research. So really, the hypothesis was fair game. And so you see all kinds of crazy hypotheses emerge as to the creation of the Carolina bays early on. I have a list of them here. This is just a partial list of some of the past hypotheses that were investigated. You know, we have things like spring basins where water seeps out of the ground and the sand depression is left behind, which is a thing, but again, not quite the same thing as a Carolina Bay. There were some people that hypothesized that when the sea levels were much higher, I mean millions of years ago, that these could have been eddies formed from ocean currents. Some people even have hypothesized that these could be old ancient fish nests or I don't know, whales or something like that. A more recent kind of outlier hypothesis that you know was investigated was that these could have been the result of giant beavers during the Ice Age, where they dammed off rivers and the beaver dams, the water reservoir behind a beaver dam, may have flash boiled during a bolide event, and the results of that flash boil was, you know, now our current Carolina bays. They still have a couple researchers that are you know, still investigating that. I do want to mention that Randall Carlson is still kind of on board with this being a bolide event, that we did have a cosmic event, but it was a series of bolide or fireballs or exploding cometary debris or meteors, and it was the shockwave from up above that created these Carolina bays. I'm not on board with that one, and I'll discuss why here in just a minute. And some of the more popular hypotheses over the past few decades have to do with wind and water, and rising and lowering of sea levels or rising and lowering of water tables. And you know, again, these are all hypotheses that have been thrown out there, and a lot of them end up not holding a lot of water, and you know, we do still not know what created these Carolina bays. You know, if you talk to some people, they absolutely know, but when it comes down to it, these things are still mysteries, and I think that's what kind of draws me, or at least what originally drew me to the Carolina bays, is that this is a mystery. We don't know, and it's kind of a fun thing to get into, because, you know, we are trying to figure this out. We would all love to know what created the Carolina bays. So as we continue this series, I'm going to get into the current scientific, or at least the current academically accepted hypothesis for the Carolina bays. I'll get into why I'm not on board with that one, and give you some very good reasons for that I'll go over a couple other probabilities that I think could be accurate. And then we'll get into some of my own thoughts and try to apply them to the creation of the Carolina Bays. And we'll get to that over the next couple videos. So stick around, guys. We'll get to that here soon. Oh, and before I go, let's look at a couple more examples of these Carolina Bays. Again, I've got the Google Earth of an area of South Carolina. This is close to the little town of Bamberg, and I like to use Bamberg as an example because if this is, if the origin is cosmic in creation, then the name of this town is an understatement. Because Bamberg took a beating. I mean, there are Carolina Bays all over this portion of South Carolina. They are all over. There's big ones, there's small ones, but again, they all have that same elliptical shape. They have that same orientation, and they all point right up to the Great Lakes. So, yep. When we come back again, we will get into the academically accepted hypothesis for these things, and look at a few more examples. So we'll be back.